I'm Tom, and this is the Jackass Forever review. Wait, how do I review a Jackass Forever? Oh! Oh! Oh, why did my balls hurt? They weren't even on camera.
Hello, I'm Johnny Knoxville. Welcome to Jackass. 3, 2, 1.
Batman must battle former District Attorney Harvey Dent, who is now Two-Face, and Edward Nygma, the Riddler, with help from an amorous psychologist and a young circus acrobat who becomes his sidekick, Robin. I don't know what it is, but something seems kind of off about that one. Hi, I'm Tompott. Welcome to Jackass! I'm sorry, I always wanted to say that. All kidding aside though, how do I review a Jackass movie? I'm not really sure how this is going to go, but I will say, I'm a massive Jackass fan. I've seen all the films more times than I can count, and honestly, I know enough about the series that I could, and possibly someday will, write a book on the whole thing. And I never imagined, first of all, that we might get another Jackass film, because it's been over 10 years now since the last theatrical entry. And also, I never imagined that if it did come again, that I might have some reservations. But this one comes with some long-time cast members absent and the introduction of a lot of new cast members. And because of that, I wasn't entirely sure how it would sit with me. But thankfully, I'm glad to say my reservations were misplaced, because I enjoyed the hell out of Jackass Forever. So the plot of Jackass Forever... just go on. After 10 long years away, I was slightly concerned the cast might not be as gung-ho as they used to be, but thankfully, by and large, that is not the case. They still go pretty hard. I mean, Knoxville does some really gnarly stunts in this. One in particular, my brain just like crossed over from comedy to concern, especially because he'd made a lot of comments in the press tour leading up to this that was really like, whoa, dude, like, take care of yourself, man. But yeah, also incredibly crazy, as we would expect from the ringleader of this band of misfits. Steve-O, as always, does deliver. Chris Pontius, Wee Man, Preston Lacey, and Dave England all kind of deliver their specialties. I think they all have a kind of a sort of stunt earmarked for them. And I think they all delivered and had their absolute moments to shine. I have to say though, and this will probably be to the surprise of many, the MVP of the film is Danger Erin, who is able to do some really excruciating stunts, provide some big laughs, and is honestly pivotal to two of the best stunts in the film, and maybe even two of the best stunts in the whole series. I think one of the reasons that they haven't been able to replicate Jackass to any degree of massive success is because of the tight chemistry between the cast, and that's certainly evident here. There's a real wholesome energy to this film about friends coming together, having been doing this for so long, and yet they still manage to show such genuine warmth and affection for each other in the most depraved and self-inflicted situations. And it's really wholesome and warming to watch. And one of the reasons that I was kind of concerned about a new cast coming in was how they would kind of click in with the new cast and whether that would mess up the balance. But thankfully, I'm really happy to say the new cast stepped up. First of all, they do some of the craziest stunts in the film. It offers a really fresh dynamic to proceedings, and they also just really clicked with the original cast. One thing you definitely can't criticize the new cast of Jackass Forever is not stepping up. They were really committed to doing this. We had Poopies who seemingly would just do every type of stunt. Normally with some of the Jackass members, it's like, well, I could see this person trying this stunt, this person trying this stunt. It feels like he would just try anything. Same goes for Zach Holmes or Zackass, who makes Preston Lacey look svelte, but just really put himself on the line. It feels like he took an absolute beating in this movie. We have Eric Manaka, who did some really kind of cool technical stunts. I would like to see more of him. I also would have really liked to see Rachel Wolfson, who I guess now is our first female Jackass. We had Stephanie Hodge do a few stunts in the original series, but Rachel Wolfson here is really flying the flag for the women in the Jackass series, which is an often underserved voice. And she was a total badass. In fact, one of the reasons I would like to see more of her is that any stunt she did, she just made look easy and really just kind of brushed it off. And I was like, damn, I'd love to see more of her. Eric Andre is in the film a little bit. I would like to see more of him because he's really funny and entertaining. And the few moments he is in this, he really kind of brings that kind of chaotic energy that he's known for. We also have Jasper Dolphin from Odd Future and his dad, Dark Shark. Again, it was a really different dynamic to what we have with the usual Jackass crew, that father-son pairing. And it was just really hilarious. And I have to say, hats off to new cast members. I absolutely would love to see more of them in future Jackass products. The movie is also notable for the absence of two of its longtime cast members, that being Ryan Dunn and Bam Margera. Ryan Dunn, of course, passed away some time ago. The film does feature kind of a tribute to him that I thought was appropriate without being overbearing. It was quite tastefully done. Now, the Bam Margera situation is a little bit messier because he was on board the film initially, but was allegedly fired for substance and alcohol issues and seemingly some personal issues, and he's now taking legal action against the film and the producers. Now, I should say, he is in the film. He's in a stunt, but they don't draw attention to it. I honestly don't think, unless you're a massive Jackass fan, you probably won't even notice that A, Bam Margera isn't there, or B, that he is there in one of the stunts. And I will say, no disrespect to Bam, because I've been a fan of his growing up, and I think he's brought some great stuff to the series that I certainly don't think we would have gotten to the heights that Jackass got to without him. But I don't feel like the film was massively impacted by his absence. I think it was honestly not even noticeable at times, and I feel like the film was just as enjoyable with or without him. That being said, hopefully he can get the help he needs and return for future Jackass projects, or at the very least, make peace with his fellow brothers in harm. The stunts this time around are interesting. I think this is one of the more mellow Jackass films. Some of the stunts just aren't that hardcore. There is some tough stuff in there. But generally it feels like they made up for that with ideas that were very inventive and some good commentary from the onlooking cast. I also should say they revisit a lot of stunts they've done in the past and do them on a larger scale, which is something they also did in Jackass 3D for the 10th anniversary, and now we're kind of at the 20th anniversary, I guess. And it's a nice kind of dose of nostalgia, but it also feels like it's fresh enough to still be entertaining and different, because they are, of course, recreating something on a much larger scale, so it honestly doesn't even feel like the same idea at a certain point. Obviously, the big openings that these films are used to, the massive kind of cinematic intros, there's one here, and it's probably the most cinematic of all of them, and it's also very creative and entertaining, but I do feel it ran maybe a little bit too long. If I did have some minor quibbles or complaints, I think it would mostly be in comparing it to the other films in the series. Like, I don't think the soundtrack in this one was as good or as memorable as previous entries. I think the first 3 Jackass films had amazing soundtracks, and I'm not sure the soundtrack of this film really stands up to it, at least on first listen. I also think the ending of the film was a little bit strange. Normally in the Jackass films, the endings kind of go for a big cinematic feel to parallel the opening of the film. And this time it feels like they did try that, but it feels like the big scale didn't really suit the stunt, and as a result it just didn't feel like the big finale that it could have been. That's really only if I was grasping for complaints though. I think we all know what we're getting with Jackass by now. It's pure, unfiltered, self-aware stupidity. There's going to be some dangerous scenes that make you want to look away. There's going to be some disgusting scenes that might make you feel a bit queasy. And there's going to be copious amounts of male genitalia and nudity. And if you're lucky, maybe even injury to said genitalia. That's all here. But I think after 20 years, you know whether that's to your liking or not. It certainly is to my liking, because confession time, I watched this twice over opening weekend. And it's only now that I'm getting a chance to review it. And it's not just because I like the film, it's not just because I laughed my ass off, probably more so than any scripted comedy in recent memory. But I think it's also because after the last few years, when cinemas have been opened and closed and barren, and I don't just mean in attendance, I sometimes mean in the content that's been put out, there was something so special about seeing this with a sold out crowd, laughing and wincing their asses off at the absolute insanity of a film like this. As crazy as it is to say about a film that is so primal and unapologetically dumb, there is nothing quite like watching a film like this with an audience, and it's something to be cherished. Nobody walks into a Jackass film by now not knowing what they're getting. But if you're a fan like me, what you're getting when you walk into Jackass Forever is a strong, possibly final chapter that still has a lot of extreme stunts, plenty of laughter and naughty bits, and some moments that are likely to gross you out. And yet despite all this, there's something really endearing about seeing the cast together 20 years on, still doing the same stupid stuff, but showing a real tenderness for each other. The new cast manages to really up their game, and also really seamlessly steps into that dynamic, and it works really well. But also in the new cast we see something that's strangely wholesome about the Jackass series, and that anyone can play the game regardless of their gender, age or ethnicity, as long as they play by the one rule. If you're going to be dumb, you gotta be tough.
If you're gonna be dumb, you gotta be tough.